Hi, I'm Jenny with Kids Learning for Life. Are you looking for information on what record keeping is and how to do it? Today, I will be going over all of this and giving you free access to a record keeping bundle that makes record keeping easy. The first thing I want to say about record keeping is that every state is different in what they require you to have on file. I would highly recommend you check hslda.org for your local state's laws. That being said, a lot of the resources that I will be providing to you today are applicable for most states. I live in California, so that's kind of the perspective I'm coming from, is California's requirements. According to hslda.org, California requires the following things to be kept on file for your homeschool: attendance records, course of study, or a list of workbooks and textbooks used for each subject, samples of schoolwork, any applicable correspondence with school officials, portfolios and test results, and immunization records, which you can get from your pediatrician. You'll want to keep all of this information handy, so printed out copies are always best and you can keep them in a file cabinet. Like I mentioned before, we are going to provide you with a free record keeping bundle. This is a bundle of documents that will come in handy to fulfill these record keeping needs. The first document that I want to highlight is the attendance tracker. For attendance, you will need to keep track of how many days in the school year your children attended homeschool. This is a really simple tracker. That's what I was going for, was just as simple as possible. So all it requires of you is to check off each day, Monday through Friday, or whatever days you do homeschool, and then keep a tally of how many days in the year you homeschooled. And that's over in the furthest column over, so that you can track those and then add them up and have the total for the whole year. With this attendance tracker, you can fill in whichever holidays you choose to use for your homeschool schedule, and you can fill them in at the bottom for your own reference. Next is my personal favorite, and this is the course of study. A course of study simply tracks which curriculum you are using for each subject with each of your kids. Again, this spreadsheet is super simple. You just fill in the subject, which curriculum is being used, and at the top you make sure that you note which student this is in reference to. And basically this just shows exactly what you're using. So you want to make sure while you're filling it out to be very specific about exactly which textbook you're using for each child. In addition to the core subjects, we have also added 2 fields at the bottom to fill in whatever extracurricular activities your children may be learning. Next, you want to have on hand a report card for each of your students. I'm going to be doing mine twice a year, so once in the winter and then once at the end of the spring. On this document, you want to track progress in each subject and then give the grade and also note why you gave the grade that you did. It's also a good idea to kind of use this as a reference point if you're in the future looking back at past report cards. So it's kind of cool to fill in what your child's strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and things you could be improving for the future. You'll see on our document that there is a version for younger elementary students, and then also there's a version for middle and high school students, so that you have that flexibility for whatever ages your children are at. For me personally, in addition to doing report cards, I'm also doing these kind of like typed out progress reports just with random notes for how my kids are doing and what we can do in the future, and just little notes about their learning styles, little quirks, just so I can go back and kind of remember what we did and what was going on at that time. I think one thing to keep in mind with record keeping is that not only is it for just your file and legality's sake, but it's also good for you to be able to look back and see what was going on at that time and how you can improve. The last document that we have provided in our free record keeping bundle is an expense spreadsheet. It's really important when you're homeschooling independently to be able to track your expenses and really see where your money is going. This is ideal for families on a budget, so I highly recommend checking out this document. It's really simple, just a few fields for you to fill out. And one thing I do want to mention is that some of my homeschool expenses are monthly, so they're recurring. So make sure in the notes section on the expense spreadsheet to kind of note which ones are one-time purchases and which ones are recurring. Now that you have all these record-keeping documents, you might be wondering, where do I keep them? Well, one suggestion I have is to check Craigslist if you don't already have a filing cabinet, to look for filing cabinets that people are giving away or selling for really cheap. I see them on there all the time. One of my guilty pleasures is to check the free items on Craigslist, and I see them on there all the time. So really just, check on there or check any sort of local classified ads, but you really do want to have some sort of filing cabinet. I found that it works the absolute best just to keep everything organized and together. And also I wanted to mention, you want to have individual files for each of your kids. And then also in addition to that, I do have just a general homeschool file. And that's where I keep my private school affidavit and any just general school type documents. In each of my children's files, they have, any curriculum books or workbooks that they have gone completely through. So I file those when those are done. I put their work, make sure that it's, labeled with their name and the date that it was completed. So I keep all of those in there. And then, like I said, I have my general file. And it is always best to have physical printed copies of all of these. So that's why we made our record keeping bundle able to be printed out and also customizable online, so that you have that kind of flexibility to either do it virtually or have a physical copy. One question about record keeping that I see all the time on all these different homeschool groups that I'm a part of is record keeping easy? Is it complicated? What's going on here? I'm here to tell you that yes, it is easy. I'm not an organized person, but I actually really enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing the progress reports, the course of study, the report cards. It's all actually very interesting to me. I think it requires a lot of self-reflection, so that's always good in order to improve what you're doing and how your child is progressing. It's really not as daunting as it seems, trust me. If you have any further questions about your local state's homeschool laws regarding record keeping, I highly recommend checking out HSLDA and also potentially becoming a member. I recently became a member of HSLDA, and I am just floored with how impressive their customer service is, because I had one simple question. I thought it was going to take weeks for someone to get back to me. I called and someone answered right away. I also had emailed, so they're very, very responsive. I highly recommend becoming a member. In closing, I just want to remind you that you should check out our free record keeping bundle. The link is available in the description below. It will help you so much. It made my record keeping so much simpler. It's a priceless resource because it'll give you a lot of peace of mind. If you would like any further information on record keeping or anything that goes along with it, leave it in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to see more videos just like this one. See you next time!